Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Dad's Playing Games, and this video continues my campaign where I'm bringing a warband through the Dark Alchemy and Perilous Dark Expansions. I've finished the 3 scenarios from Dark Alchemy, and now I will be tackling the first scenario from Perilous Dark, the Writhing Fumes. I'm going forward in my campaign assuming viewers haven't watched any of my Dark Alchemy playthroughs, as you may not be interested in those scenarios. But I won't be giving away any detailed spoilers in case you do plan to go back and watch those later. Either way, this is a perfectly viable spot to jump into the campaign. If you check the details below, you'll find timestamps where you can jump ahead or behind to any specific spot in this video. And there you'll also find links to some of our other Frostgrave content. And you'll especially want to check out the preview video for the Perilous Dark campaign. This video is different from the introductory video I released when I started my Dark Alchemy and Perilous Dark campaign, and it gives a detailed breakdown for how to play Perilous Dark, especially regarding creature activations, and the video also explains the house rules I'll be using for the rest of my campaign. I actually researched and recorded that video after I recorded the battle you're about to see, so you'll notice that I get a few rules wrong in regards to creature movement and activation in this battle. So now let's talk about the Writhing Fumes scenario. This battle features 2 Ballista 2 constructs. These have the stats of a large construct, with the exception of an added +2 shoot as they have an integrated crossbow. It seems like the battle is supposed to focus on these 2 creatures, but the show is kind of stolen by the large and small vapor snakes that will be spawning during the battle. I only have 1 Lego snake that doesn't look very intimidating, so I improvised with Lego flags. I figured these kind of look like something wisping in the air. These enemies are actually quite powerful with decent fight, armor, and health stats, special defense against shooting attacks, and they have spelled the doom for many players attempting this scenario. The scenario is played on a 2.5 by 2.5 foot board. The warband deploys in one corner, and the opposite corner contains a door. 5 spawn points are placed, 1 in the center of the board, and the others each 10 inches away from that, forming an X. Random terrain is placed as normal for a Frostgrave game, though the entire campaign calls for less terrain than usual, as monsters can only see line of sight, not an aerial view like a player can. The 2 Ballista 2 constructs are placed 8 inches from the door, and 5 large vapor snakes are placed on each spawn point. 2 treasure tokens are placed near the spawn points that are closest to the corners not occupied by the warband or the door. The objective is to get to the door and force it open with an attack roll against a target number of 14. At the end of each turn, the player rolls on a special encounter table that will spawn large or small vapor snakes at the various spawn points. After the first 2 turns, vapor snakes that can't see opponents will move toward the door instead of making random moves. Picking up treasure in this scenario does not trigger random monsters or reduce members' move stat. Now, we'll take a look at my wizard and his warband. In his last battle, Eirvathon passed 2 levels and is now a level 7 enchanter. I've changed the names of a few of his spells to make them more thematic for his wizard school. He casts Enchant Weapon on a 7, Embed Enchantment on an 11, Strength on a 9, Brew Potion on a 14, and Write Scroll on a 13. He can Detect Magic with Reveal Secret on a 16, create Enchanted Soldiers, normally Raise Zombie, on a 12, and for probably his main story element, has learned how to magically enchant arrows, normally Elemental Bolts, which are successfully cast on an 11. He and his apprentice Jadis will be heading to the front door of Isher's weapon shop with their mighty sword-fighting treasure hunter, their archer, 2 thugs, 2 warhounds, and their newly hired barbarian and infantry woman. Eirvathon starts this battle wielding a hand weapon and dagger, needing 90 experience points for his next level, and with 15 gold crowns in his vault. Although you may notice on my wizard sheet during the battle a number of potions, scrolls, and grimoires located in the warband's vault, I've actually decided to forfeit all of those items. I played through Dark Alchemy first to make Perilous Dark a little easier, but starting these scenarios with over 1,000 gold crowns worth of items I could sell seemed a little excessive, said the guy who's starting out at level 7. In a moment we'll get to the battle, but first I want to give a story recap about the background of who Eirvathon is and why he is venturing into the Perilous Dark. Eirvathon the Enchanter comes from a people known for their skills in archery. Although he learned these skills, once he was grown, he left his village to study magic. During his training, he learned of a wizard who could craft powerful magical arrows, and Eirvathon made it his mission to learn this skill. His search brought him to a man named Jadis, an archer who had traveled with and learned from the arrow-crafting wizard. Seeing Eirvathon's desire not for power, but for exploration and adventure, Jadis decided to train Eirvathon, and in the process, Eirvathon taught Jadis a lot about magic. The process of making the magic arrows takes a certain kind of chemical and magical mixture, and the two new friends were running out of it. However, they heard rumors of a thawing alchemical factory that once produced this substance. As Jadis prepared their makeshift workshop, Eirvathon grabbed the arrows they had made, hired a team of mercenaries, and headed to the alchemical factory. Shortly after the warband entered the factory, there was an explosion and cave-in that separated the warband. Eirvathon and his men searched through shelves, barrels, and vats, looking for the magical mixture they were seeking, fighting off burning skeletons, flame-spitting constructs, and a hideous, deformed monstrosity along the way. The warband was eventually reunited and recovered large amounts of what they'd sought out to find. Returning back to their base and selling the other loot they'd found, the apprentice Jadis was able to finish building the workshop he needed to produce more enchanted arrows. And there was enough gold crowns left for the pair to hire some more mercenaries for their first adventures together. One of the soldiers they hired told the warband about an old weapon shop she'd found while venturing with a now deceased wizard. It supposedly houses some powerful magical weapons, but is also guarded by a pair of large constructs. The entire team agreed this would be a good place to explore to find some new equipment. When the warband arrived near the shop, Eirvathon and Jadis scouted out the area. Seeing the two constructs they were told about, Eirvathon decided to send part of his warband to seek a side entrance. Just after those soldiers left, plumes of vapor started rising from the ground outside the shop, and the vapor started forming writhing shapes like snakes. As more plumes popped up behind the warband, they knew they had to rush the main entrance and get to someplace safe from whatever was coming out of the ground. My battlefield is set up. Over here is where I will eventually be deploying my warband, and their goal is to get down, all the way down across the battlefield to these doors that they'll have to force open. Over here we've got two Ballista 2 constructs that are placed 8 inches from the door and 5 inches apart per the setup rules. We have 5 spawn points, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each one has a large vapor snake on it. There are 2 treasure tokens that are placed, one over here, and the other one is over by this spawn point per the rules. A few things about my terrain. Any ladders or ramps can be climbed at regular speed. However, I doubt I'll be doing too much climbing since I'm just trying to get across the board. And anywhere where there's piles of rubble like this, that is rough terrain for half movement. For this entire scenario, I will be using the green die for myself and the orange-red die for my enemies. Next, we'll cast some out-of-game spells. If you watched the Dark Alchemy playthroughs, you'll know that I had no out-of-game spells that were allowed to be cast during that campaign. Only certain ones are allowed to be cast. And then with my out-of-game spells, I've put a little B or an A here for either before or after. Some out-of-game spells are allowed before a scenario and some are only allowed after. So we'll start by casting all of them that are allowed before. So starting with Brew Potion, Eirvathon will cast this on a 14. failure, and Jadis will cast this with a -2 for a total of 15, so that is successful. He will brew a potion of teleportation. Next, we will have Eirvathon cast Reveal Secret on a 16. Failure, and Jadis will try with a -2. 9, that is also a failure. And lastly, we'll have Eirvathon try Enchanted Soldier, which is normally a raised zombie. He failed, and Jadis with a -3, -2, he also failed. After this scenario, I can cast Embed Enchantment, and I can cast Write Scroll. The Warband is set up over here. We've got Eirvathon the Enchanter, and back here we have Jadis the Apprentice. We have their new Barbarian, and their Infantry Woman, the Treasure Hunter, 1 Thug, 2 Thug, an Archer, and their 2 Warhounds. Their strategy is going to be to try to stay together in this scenario. I might have this 1 Warhound hang back to maybe try to distract some of the Vapor Snakes. Early on, I'm going to attempt to buff up my guys with some strength spells and some enchant weapons, and then I'm hoping to hit some of those constructs, a couple of those constructs, with some elemental bolts at some point. And we'll see how that strategy unfolds. Looking at the phase order for Perilous Dark, since none of the enemies have a fight of +5 or 20 health, all of the monsters will activate in creature phase 2 after my apprentice phase. And the potion of teleportation I brewed at the start of the battle is going to my archer. Since there's no initiative for this scenario, I will start out by having Eirvathon activate with the Barbarian, the Woman at Arms, and the Treasure Hunter. And he'll start out by casting Strength on the Infantry Woman with the strategy of, since she has less hit points than their other big melee people, she will probably end up getting attacked more. Eirvathon casts Strength on a 9. 11, that is successful. Eirvathon will then move to right up here. The buffed up infantry woman will double move down to here. The treasure hunter will move up right behind her. And the barbarian will move up there too. Jadis will activate by himself and will move right there behind Eirvathon, and he will cast Enchant Weapon on the Barbarian. Enchant Weapon is on a 7 with a -2 to the roll. 6 -2 is 4. He will just actually let that fail. So now for the creature phase, starting with the creatures with the most health, we have these 2 Ballista 2s. None of my soldiers are within line of sight of them, so they will not fire an arrow. If they're more than 6 inches from the door, they'll move towards the door. Their starting deployment is 8 inches from the door, so they will both move towards the door. They have a move of 4, so starting with this construct, you'll move back here to right there. This construct will do kind of the same thing. Right there. Now for the Vapor Snakes. This blue one and this white one cannot see any members of my warband. However, the red one can see my Woman at Arms, the yellow one can see my Barbarian, and the pink one down there can see my Treasure Hunter. So they will all move. We'll start with this pink one. The large Vapor Snakes have a move of 5, so on a double move, it can move 7.5 to right there. For this one, it gets kind of hung up in this rough terrain and can only get to about right there. This red one, however, on a double move can get into combat with my soldiers. So it can move to about right there on a single move, then can run up and snap into combat with my Treasure Hunter, and my Barbarian and my Woman at Arms will engage as well. On the first 2 turns, if a Vapor Snake cannot see one of my party members, it will move randomly. After the second turn, then they will always move towards the door if they're called upon to make a random move. This one I just rolled to see where it goes. It's going to start out by coming this way, and then it's going to head over this way to right there. And this white one ended up traveling this way against the wall and then up this way for its second random move. To finish off my soldier phase, this thug here will do a double move to right there. This hooded thug will do a double move around here, and then he can snap into combat to add some extra support. My archer will double move as well, and he can get right up there. For my warhound, starting with this guy, he will double move 12 to right there. And I was going to send this warhound down that way, but I'm kind of liking the idea of keeping the team together here. So he's instead going to double move over here, and he can get to right there. Now that it's the end of the round, we'll roll to see what monster spawns. 12. 12 is a large Vapor Snake at spawn point number 2. Again, here's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this Vapor Snake will appear right there. For Eirvathon, he will activate with this thug, the Barbarian, and the Treasure Hunter. And he will start by moving over here and casting Enchanted Soldier. He cast this on a 12. 12, success. And since my barrel monster did so well in the last battle, he will put together, enchant another barrel to make a little monster. Again, this is basically just a zombie, has the stats of a zombie. And now I will have the Barbarian go ahead and attack. He's normally a +4. He's supported by 3 characters, so he is a +10. And he's going against +3. Barbarian gets 19 to 8. That is a hit. It deals +2 damage for a 2-handed weapon. The large Vapor Snake has an armor of 12, so that is 9 damage to the Vapor Snake. After that, the Barbarian will push himself out of combat, and then will move over here by Eirvathon. Next, my Treasure Hunter will attack. He's normally a +4, supported by 2 characters, so he is at a +8 against +3. 18 to 7. That is a hit. That is 6 damage. It only had 3 health left, so it is defeated. And this Vapor disperses. Normally I leave my dead on the board, but I'm going to need these to spawn future Vapor Snakes. And after that, the Treasure Hunter will move to right there. This thug here will now move. I think he has to do a double move to get there, but that's fine, just to add some support to the Treasure Hunter. Jadis will activate with this Warhound over here, and he'll start by moving to right there, and from there he will cast Enchant Weapon on this Treasure Hunter's sword. On a 7 with a -2, that's a 6, he'll empower that for 1. And then the Warhound he activated with will just come up here to help add some support. For the creature phase, the 2 Ballista 2s still cannot see anyone. Now they are within 6 inches of the door, so they will not randomly move. We'll start with the Vapor Snakes that can see my Warband, starting with this yellow one. On a double move of 7.5, it can move into combat with my Infantry Woman, and my Warhound and this barrel will snap into combat. Alright. And the pink Vapor will just do a double move to right there. For the random movement, starting with this red one, I rolled and it would be moving to here for 5, and then from there it can see my team, so it'll start moving this way 2.5 on its double move. This Vapor Snake will start by moving this way. It's kind of rough terrain, so it ends up there, and then it'll move up over here to right there. And the last Vapor Snake will again run into this wall, and then it will move out this way. Still to activate here on my soldier phase are my barrel, my infantry woman, this warhound, this thug, and my archer. We'll start by having the infantry woman attack. She is normally +5, but she's supported by 2 characters, so +9 against +3. Critical hit, that thing is destroyed. Very much so. She will then run up and engage the pink one. The barrel soldier on a double move can snap into combat. On a single move, this thug can come around here, get to right there, and then snap into combat. And he will attack with double support. He has a +6 against +3. 25 against 17, that is a hit. 25 against 12 armor is 13 damage. It is defeated. Way to go, thug. Next, this archer here, even though he only deals 1 damage on successful hits, will fire an arrow at that blue Vapor Snake. +2 against +3. 19, not bad. So it hits, only deals 1 damage. After the shot, the archer will run over this way to right there. And lastly, this warhound on a double move will run up and engage the red Vapor Snake. End of the round, another Vapor Snake appears. 5. So the small Vapor Snake pops up right there. Eirvathon will activate by himself. Move over to here. And from there he'll cast Strength on this thug on a 9. Failure by 4, he'll let that fail. For the apprentice phase, Jadis will activate with the warhound, and the barbarian is just barely in range. And then then Jadis will attempt to cast Enchant Weapon on the barbarian's sword. Cast on a 7 with a -2. 4. Or a 3. He fails by 4. He will let that fail as well. Well, I guess my dice rolls have to come up negative here eventually. And then Jadis will run over here by Eirvathon. Now this warhound will double move, staying away from the blue one, but we'll come over here and engage the red one. And then the barbarian can move to here and then snap into combat on a single move. Then he will attack with double support, +8 against +3. Uh-oh. Well, luckily the bad guy only got 7, so the Vapor Snake misses his attack, as does my barbarian. For the creature phase, I didn't really think about it when I moved these guys out here, but this thug now is in line of sight of the gray construct, and he would be in line of sight of the gold construct if it weren't for this wagon blocking the view. But the thug's going to get shot at. The Ballista 2 has a shoot of +2 against +2 for the thug. The shot is a 14 against 14. That is a tie. On a tie, no damage is dealt. For the Vapor Snakes, I'd set these two up to engage that blue one, but I didn't think about it. I moved my warhound over here. Now the warhound is closer. I was going to have this one activate first, kind of whichever one was most advantageous for the enemy, but it has less health than the red one since it did get hit by that arrow, so it'll be activating after the other large Vapor Snakes. So this red Vapor Snake will attack the character with the fewest health, which will be one of the 2 warhounds. The random roll says it's attacking this one, and the warhound has support of 2 figures, so it is normally a +1, but it has a +5 with support. +5 against +3. 15 against 4. That is a hit. The Warhound bites the Vapor Snake and deals 3 points of damage. Since it's now turn 3, the Vapor Snakes will not make random movements. Instead, if they can't see anyone, they'll move towards this door, and that's what this white one will do. We'll put it right there. Now, since this Vapor Snake has 11 health, it will move into combat, and it will come down and engage this Warhound. Since this Vapor Snake is in combat, it cannot add support, so this is just a no supported attack, +1 Hound against +3 Vapor Snake. 12 to 18. That is 8 damage on that Warhound. My first soldier goes down. This small Vapor Snake can see these guys over here, so it will do a double move, putting it right there. For my soldier phase, I will have this thug run straight across here, staying away from the blue one, and then he'll charge up this way. He will attack with the support of 2 soldiers, giving him a +6 against +3. 12 to 5. He wins, but deals no damage. Now I will have my Treasure Hunter run up. He will engage the blue Vapor Snake and attack. He has an enchanted weapon, which gives him +5 against +3. He gets a 14 against a 13. He wins and deals 2 more damage to the blue one. Then he will actually push himself out of combat so that he is further away from it than the Barbarian, and also so he could possibly activate with one of the spellcasters. I could activate this Warhound and have him attack, but after seeing my other Warhound go down, I think he is going to wait for someone stronger to attack and just stand there and add support. With this group over here, they're all just going to kind of run over here to some cover. Thug in the front, making sure he can't be seen by the ballistas. And then the archer will go. Then the construct, or animated soldier. And lastly, the infantry woman. End of the round, we'll see what kind of Vapor Snake appears. 4, another small one. We'll have a gold one, and it pops up right over here at number 4. Eirvathon will start out by casting Strength on the Treasure Hunter on a 9. A 1. Wow, fails by 8, takes 1 point of damage. And since they've been striking out on their spells lately, he's just going to run up and engage this blue one. Jadis will activate with the Treasure Hunter, and he will start out by trying to cast Strength on him. A 9 minus 2. Alright, 17. That is successful. And then Jadis will also run up and add support, so that the Treasure Hunter can now run up and attack with double support. He's got an enchanted weapon and strength, so normally he's 7, plus 2 more, he's plus 11 against plus 3. 28, that is a dead Vapor Snake. For the creature phase, again, the Ballista 2s cannot see any of my soldiers, so they will not activate. Next up would be the large Vapor Snakes. So this one will attack my Warhound since he is the weakest, the lowest health. Warhound with support is a +5 against +3. Warhound gets 23. That is successful for 11 points of damage. This one was down to 9, so it is defeated. This large Vapor Snake will run towards the door since it can't see anybody. This Vapor Snake here, small Vapor Snake, cannot see anybody, so that barrel blocks its view right there. So it will double move back to the spawn point it came from. And this gold small Vapor Snake can run up and engage here on a double move. For my soldier phase, we'll start with this thug. He will run up here and he will pick up that treasure. In this scenario, carrying treasure does not affect their movement. Next, the Barbarian will activate, and he will run up here on a double move. Then this Warhound will run up over here. Any of my soldiers that run up to add support are going to be in line of sight of those constructs, which I do not want. So my barrel monster is going to potentially take one for the team, run up here and add support. Then my infantry woman will run in. She will attack. She's got +5 because of strength. Double support gives her a total of +9 against +3. 12 against 10. She wins. Armor 12, but she does +2 damage because of the two-handed weapon. So 2 damage to that gold small snake. Next, the Thug will attack. +2, but then with support 12 +6 against +3. 15, against 18. The Thug takes 8 points of damage. The Archer will do a double move to right there, hoping no snakes will spawn from there. And we'll see what does spawn at the end of the round. 12. 12 is a large vapor snake here at spawn point number 2. Now it's not technically in combat with my Thug, but if my Thug tries to move, it will be. Eirvathon will activate with the Treasure Hunter and send the Treasure Hunter up after this Vapor Snake. The Treasure Hunter is +7 with Strength and Enchanted Weapon against +3. 16 against 13. That is a hit for 4 damage on the new pink one. Eirvathon will now do a full 6-inch move to there, and then he will cast Strength on the Barbarian. Cast on a 9. 15, got it. Jadis will do a single move up here. He will not engage this Vapor Snake, and then he will cast Enchant Weapon on the Barbarian's sword. Casting on a 7 with a -2. Success. For the creature phase, these 2 Ballista 2s can now see this melee, so they will both shoot into that. They don't have any special rules that say they will not shoot into a melee, so they might end up hitting their own soldier, but they're constructs, so what do they know? We'll start with the gold one, and we'll number them off. Number 1, 2, 3, and then 4 will be the Vapor Snake. 2, that will be my barrel monster. There's no support added during a shooting attack, so +2 shot against +0 fight. 7 against 20, that is a miss. Now the other Ballista 2 will do the same thing. Same numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, that is against my infantry woman. Because of strength, she has a fight +5 against shoot +2. Shot is only a 5, and I got a 13, so that is a miss. Now for the Vapor Snakes, starting with this one, since it has the most health, it will run down here to right there, because it can see this melee over here. The next highest health enemy is this green Vapor Snake. It will double move over to here. Next is this large Vapor Snake, attacking one-on-one against my Treasure Hunter. +7 against +3. I got 14 against 8. That's a hit. I deal 2 more damage to it. It's down to 6. Now over to this melee. This small Vapor Snake will attack my soldier with the fewest health, which is currently my Thug with only 2 health. He's normally +2, but double supported, so +6 against +3. 12 against 6. I'm getting kind of lucky here. That's a small snake, so that takes 2 points of damage. And it just dawned on me that the small Vapor Snakes only have a fight +1, so that Thug actually only took 6 damage earlier, not 8. For my soldier phase, I will have my infantry woman attack the Vapor Snake. She's normally +5, support of 2, so +9 against +1. 21. That's a hit for 11 13 damage. It is defeated. And then she will move over here to right there. I will have my barrel monster double move over to here. Then I will have my archer come over here, and he will pick up that treasure. Then my thug will run over to here. Over to here, this warhound will run over here to add support. And then the barbarian will run over and attack with double support. He's a +7, then plus the 2 support, so 11 against 3. That is a dead vapor snake. Then I will have this treasure carrying thug do a double move over to here. And that is the end of my turn. See where a snake spawns. 3. That is another small snake, and it spawns right here. Now that I kind of seem to have this battlefield under control, I'm going to be a little more bold, and we'll see how this pays off. My spellcasters haven't had a chance to use any of their enchanted arrows yet, so we'll have Eirvathon get into position to do that. He'll move to right there, and then he will cast an enchanted arrow on that Ballista 2. He casts on an 11. 5. Well, I said I'd be bold, so let's go ahead and empower that for 6. This is a +8 shooting attack against fight +3. 21 to 5. So that is a hit. They have armor of 13, so that is 8 damage on the gray construct there. Jadis is going to try this too, and he's going to activate with all 3 of these soldiers. He'll move over here. And he has a clear line of sight at the gray Ballista 2 as well. Cast on an 11 with a -2. 5. He's currently at 9 health. He'd have to cut down to 3, so he will let that arrow miss. That was a failure by 6, so he goes down to 8. To give the spellcasters some defense, this barbarian is going to double move. He has to climb over all this debris here, but can get to right there. This treasure hunter will do a similar thing. And this warhound that activated is going to come over here to kind of bring up the rear in case a vapor snake happens to spawn out of there. He can protect the spellcasters. Now for the creature phase. The gold Ballista 2 still cannot see any soldiers, but the gray one obviously can because I shot an arrow at him. Although the gray Ballista can see down there to my wizard, these two are making a pretty good wall there to block some line of sight. So he will shoot at the lowest hit point soldier, which is the treasure hunter. Shoot +2 against fight +7. I got a 24 to 15. That arrow misses. This large vapor snake here will go next, and I was looking through the rules about creature movements and realized that they don't always just make a straight movement, but they will try to make sure they only encounter 1 enemy instead of 2 if at all possible. And this vapor snake does have enough movement to kind of come around here and come around the side of the barbarian, so the treasure hunter cannot snap into combat. That is on a double move, however, so he is done. Going forward, I will have any time when there's 2 monsters that would move at the same time, like these 2 have the same health, I will have them move in an order where if they can support each other in combat, they will move in that order. So this blue one can't actually, on a single move, get into combat and fight. It can double move into combat with my thug, and this green one on a single move can engage my thug without triggering any snapping into combat from anybody else. And so now that small vapor snake can attack with support. My thug is a +2, the vapor snake with support is +3. Uh-oh, 20. That is 10 damage. My thug goes down. For my soldier phase, I will have my archer come over here and engage the blue snake. Then I'll have my infantry woman come over and also engage the blue snake. The archer was just going to stand there, but the infantry woman will attack, so +7 with support against +1. 14 to 9, that is a total of 5 damage. It has 11 armor, and I have a two-handed weapon for +2 damage. My barrel monster will come over here and engage the green one, just to keep him busy. This thug will do a double move. All the soldiers over here have already moved, so end of the round we'll see what kind of vapor snake spawns. 3. 3 is a small vapor snake. On to this point again. For the new round, Eirvathon will cast Strength on the Warhound. On a 9. Failure by 1, he'll empower that. Then he will move over here. Jadis will activate with this Warhound, and he will cast Enchant Weapon on Eirvathon's hand weapon. Cast on a 7 with a -2. Success. Then he will run over to here, and the Warhound will move on a single move to right there and engage the Vapor Snake with support of the Barbarian, and he will attack. He is +3 because of strength, and then plus another 2 for support. +5 against +3. I got an 8, and I got a 21. Well, so much for that super-powered Warhound. For the monster phase, the Ballista 2 will fire another arrow at the Treasure Hunter, +2 shot against +7 fight. Shot is an 18. That is a hit. Armor of 11 does +2 damage. So that is 9 damage to the Treasure Hunter, and it pushes him back 2 inches. Push him back through all this rubble. The Gold Ballista 2 still cannot see anyone. So next we'll move to the Vapor Snake, which will attack my Barbarian. +3 against +7 for my Barbarian. I got a 13 to 22. That is 12 damage on my Barbarian. This battle is going south quickly. We'll have this new little Vapor Snake double move into combat with my barrel. And then this green one will attack my barrel monster with support. I'm a +0 against +3. I get a 13, and it gets a 12. So I actually won that, and it deals 2 damage to the green Vapor Snake. We'll see what happens over here next. My infantry woman will attack with support, +7 against +1. 26 to 19. That is a dead small Vapor Snake. Then she will do a single move over to here. And my archer will run over to here. Now we'll come over here. This Treasure Hunter will move into combat over here to right there with the large Vapor Snake. He has a +9 against +3. I got a 13. That one needs to be re-rolled. Oh no! That 19 does 8 points of damage to my Treasure Hunter, who dies. Or at least falls. My Barbarian's going to take a swing. +7 against +3. There we go. Critical hit. It goes down. Glad to see that one leave the board. And then he will run to safety over here as they prepare to charge the doors here soon. This thug will stay right where he's at, and we'll roll to see what monster appears next. 10. 10 is 2 small Vapor Snakes right here. So much for my idea to charge the gates. I will start with having Eirvathon come back out to the open, to where he can fire an enchanted arrow at the gray Ballista 2. Casts on an 11. Success. +8 shooting attack against +3 fight. 20 against 16. That is a hit. That causes 7 points of damage. It's down to 1. Actually, I was wrong. It was down to 6, so it is dead. Glad to see that thing go down. Jadis will now activate, and he will run over here. And from there, he will cast Enchant Weapon on the Thug. Casting on a 7 with a -2. Fails by 6. He takes 1 point of damage. Now to the creature phase. With that ballista down and that one unable to see anything, we move to these snakes here who can see Eirvathon down there. And just to show its movement, its first move would put it right there, but at that point it can see these guys as well as Eirvathon. For its second move, it can't go quite 3 inches because it's going through rough terrain, so it wouldn't quite be able to snap into combat with Eirvathon. But if it changes trajectory, it can snap into combat within an inch of the barbarian, so that's what it will do. And the blue one will do essentially the same thing. They've both double moved, so their turns are over. Over to here, we'll have the red small snake attack with support. +3 snake, +0 barrel. 9 to 0, it wins, but doesn't get past its armor of 12. The green snake will attack now, +3, +0. 5. Alright, my barrel monster wins. He'll stay in combat with both of them. For soldier phase, I will have this thug engage the gold snake, and he will attack. Since there's 2 members of each team here, nobody's going to add support, so it's +1 against +1. The thug's only +1 because he's carrying the treasure, so he's -1 fight. I got 16 to 12. That is a hit. Armor of 11, so 5 damage. Now the barbarian will attack the gold one. Same thing, no support. +7 against +1. 17 to 16. That was close. +2 weapon. Was already injured, so that is enough to defeat that snake. Oops. My enchanted barrel will once again stay where he's at, and moving over here, the infantry woman will double move to right there, and the archer will follow. With my dwindling team, that is the end of my turn. See what spawns next. 16. That is a large and small vapor snake. Luckily, they pop up clear over here at point number 1. For Eirvathon, he will cast Strength on the thug. Cast on a 9. 6, he'll empower that for 3. Eirvathon's down to 4 health, so he'll run over here to right there. Jadis will activate with both of these 2 soldiers. We'll start with having the thug attack the snake. The thug is normally +2, but he's got strength, and he's carrying a treasure, but he's got support, so all of that adds up to +5 against +1. 7 to 7, tie, no damage. The barbarian will now attack, +9 against +1. That is a 14 against a 14. So that's +2 damage for a total of 5 damage. That is 4 damage on the barbarian, which is spelling some bad news here. Jadis will now activate. Climb over all of this to right there and try an enchanted arrow on that construct. Cast on an 11 with a -2. Misses by 10, 2 damage. For the creature phase, the Ballista 2 will fire an arrow at Jadis. Jadis is a +1 against shoot +2. That's a 12 +2 damage, so that is 4 damage on Jadis. He is down to 1, and he's pushed 2 inches back. This is actually the edge of the board, so he essentially stays right where he is. Next up is the large vapor snake. He can see my barrel monster, so he will move that way on a double move. Put him right here. This gold one will do the same. Can double move a little further. Now in health order, this red one has full health, so it will attack. +3 against my +0. It wins, but no damage. We'll go ahead and have the green one attack. It wins with a 17. My barrel monster had already taken 2 damage, so that is enough to defeat it, unfortunately. But it served a pretty good purpose there. It will now move. It's going to move towards the door, which I suppose this way might be the quickest. And a single move will put it right there. Now to this blue one, we'll have it attack my thug. I have a +3 with strength against +1. I failed, no damage. For my soldier phase, I will have my archer run up to here. And he will fire an arrow at this ballista. +2 shoot, and then since I moved, it's a +4 fight. My arrow misses. My infantryman will run up and engage on a double move. Infantry woman. And then my thug will attack this blue vapor snake. +3 against +1. 9 damage. New round of vapor snake spawning. 19. That puts a large and small vapor snake over here. For Eirvathon, he is going to attempt to cast another enchanted soldier. Casting on a 12. 10, he'll empower that for 2. And pulling a bunch of rocks and stuff out of this pile, he makes this, which appears right next to him. Then Eirvathon will do a single move, kind of into all this rubble here. Now for Jadis, being almost defeated, he will run up against this door, and he is going to try to break it down. He has to attack it, and it's got a target number of 14. He gets a +1 to this. 4, miss. For the creature phase, starting with this ballista, it will attack. I've got a +5 against +3. Alright, I got a 24 with +2 damage. So altogether that's 13 damage because it has 13 armor, so it still has 1 health left, unfortunately. Next up is the large vapor snakes. This one will double move to about here. And this one will double move over here to this corner. This gold one will move up to about here. Red one will move up close to it. This yellow one will wind through here. This green one will wind around back here to right there. This blue one will attack my thug. +1 against +3. Alright, I got a 17. That one was down to 5, so that is 6 damage. It is defeated. It's actually very helpful. For my soldier phase, I will have this thug run around here and engage this ballista 2 to add some support. Then I'll have this archer run up here and attack the door with support. He's carrying a treasure, so he's fight +1, then +2 with support. Target 14. He also failed. This little enchanted rock monster will come over here and on a double move end up right there to try to draw some attention to it. Lastly, my infantry woman will attack the construct. With support, she has fight +7 against fight +3. 11. 1 short, because with +2 damage, that's 13, but its armor is 13. See what spawns. 15. Bad news. Vapor Snake appears right there. Eirvathon will activate with this thug, and we'll go ahead and have the thug try to take out this construct. +3 against +3. No! And the thug goes down. For Eirvathon, I would like him to come and pick up this treasure, but unfortunately that treasure is within an inch of this ballista, and even though he's in combat, he still prevents me from picking that up. So instead, I will just move him someplace a little safer. Right there, where he's closer to hopefully getting out this door, and where he can stay away from some of these snakes. And from there, he will cast Strength on himself. Casting on a 9. 18, success. Now Jadis will activate with the archer, and the archer is going to try to break through that door. With support, it's a fight +3. Alright, he got it. He busted through the door. Alright, the doors are busted open, and now the archer is going to use his second action to move through. And Jadis will move through also. For the creature phase, since the construct is only at 1 health, we move to the large vapor snakes. The closest enemy is this guy, so he'll move there and attack. I have a +1 against +3. I won, and I will push it out of combat. This one here will run at it to get about right there on a double move. This red one will double move over to here. The gold one will come down and engage. Fight +1 snake against fight +0. I win, and I'll push that one out of combat. The red one will come down and attack. Not so lucky that time. He gets critically hitted. Breaks up into a pile of rock. But he did a good job keeping those guys distracted. The yellow one will do a double move to right there. And we'll have the last vapor snake move over here. The infantry woman is just out of reach for a single move snap into combat, so it has to do a double move to get into combat with her, but he'll add support. And with that support, the Ballista 2 will attack the infantry woman. +3 Ballista, +5 infantry woman. I win again. That adds up to a total of 13 with an armor of 13. So again, no damage. Now for the soldier phase, I'll have my last soldier, my infantry woman, attack the Ballista 2, see if she can finally finish him off. Since it has support, this is a +5 against a +5. I got a 15, got a 21. She hadn't taken any damage yet, but that is 10 damage. So my infantry woman joins a number of other fallen soldiers. Now normally I would at this point spawn another vapor snake somewhere. However, before any enemies can go, Eirvathon would be able to go, and for his action he's just going to keep away from these enemies to squeeze out those doors. So regardless of what spawns, he is going to get out of here, and we'll just say there's one more vapor snake on the board. And looking over the battlefield at all of my fallen soldiers, I would say this scenario definitely lives up to all the hype about how difficult it can be. So with only Eirvathon, Jadis, and the archer making it off the board with 1 treasure token, let's find out the fate of these fallen soldiers. A 1 to 4, they are dead. A 5 to 8, they are badly wounded. Starting with the Warhound. 4, he is dead. Warhound number 2, he is fine. Thug number 1, he is badly wounded. 1 of each. Thug number 2, he is fine. The infantry woman, she is fine. The treasure hunter, he is fine. And the barbarian. The barbarian dies. So 2 fallen soldiers, 1 injured soldier, and now we will find out what they found with this treasure. Rolling at least 1 treasure token on the Perilous Dark treasure table. 16. 16 is Nimble Walk boots. I could sell them for half of 200 for 100 gold crowns. If I choose to keep these, I believe they will help me in some of the quests that have traps when I have move rules. For out-of-game spells that can be cast after the battle, we'll start with Embed Enchantment. There was an enchant weapon cast on Eirvathon's hand weapon as well as the Treasure Hunter's sword. So we'll start with Eirvathon trying to cast enchant weapon on his own hand weapon. Casting on an 11. Failure, and Jadis will try the same thing, -2 to the roll. 10, failure on both. Next we'll attempt Right Scroll. Eirvathon casts on a 13. Failure, and Jadis with a -2. 14, so that is a success. He will create a scroll of Reveal Secret. For experience points, the spellcasters cast 13 spells for 130. They defeated one of the Ballista 2s for 15. They collected one treasure for 20. They opened the doorway for 10. And 3 members made it through the exit for 60, for a total of 235 experience points. That goes along with the Nimble Walk boots they found and the Scroll of Reveal Secret they wrote. That battle went pretty well in the first half. I had some pretty good rolls for both combat and spawning snakes, but my luck eventually ran out. Splitting the party once again proved to be not a good idea. However, my smaller faction seemed to do better than my main group, but possibly only because of that barrel monster that did a good job holding up the snakes. Both it and later my rock soldier really pulled their weight by occupying the enemy and allowing the rest of my team to advance. I couldn't believe that Ballista 2 that lived on with just 1 hit point. I had 3 rolls that were 1 number away from killing it, but it ended up taking out my infantry woman, and I ended up having to leave that treasure laying right next to it, which was kind of frustrating. I took some big losses with 3 soldiers either injured or dead, including my barbarian. Of all the treasure results I could have rolled, I rolled, I think, the second lowest worth item in the Perilous Dark treasure table. And since I failed most of my out-of-game spells that could have created things I could sell, and since I've decided to forfeit all those items I found back in Dark Alchemy, I'm not going to have a lot of gold crowns to work with for hiring new soldiers. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have faced after finishing this scenario. For strategy tips, I'm a bit stumped with this scenario. In my Dark Alchemy experience, I learned the importance of keeping the warband together. However, that's kind of a slow strategy, and this scenario has snakes spawning every turn. That's why I tried to split my team off into 2 groups, but that didn't work the best. And even having a level 7 wizard that I started with didn't seem to be the answer either, as I finished the battle with 7 soldiers laying on the ground and only 1 treasure token secured. So I would affirm what I've heard many people say, that this scenario is brutal. If you have had a similar or maybe a better experience with this scenario, or if there's other things about the video you'd like to comment on, please leave those below. And then be sure to join us on the next video as Eirvathon takes his warband into Isher's weapon shop. We want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to add a like or a comment below, or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content we're releasing. And with that, I'm Alan with Dad's Playing Games, and we'll see you on the next video.